good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Ken Sterling. It's Monday, July 26th, 2021. We're brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Went into the office today, had the exam by Dr. Mike O'Neill, the cleaning by Cassie, everything checked out, no cavities, no oral cancer. Nice. They do an oral cancer screening every single exam that they do, and I'll tell you this, Dr. Mike O'Neill has saved lives with those oral cancer screenings. All right, punch subscribe, hit like, ring the bell. Let's go. Let's talk about sports. News out of Colts training camp today. Chris Ballard, general manager of the Colts, he spoke to the media. Frank Reich, a positive COVID test. He is going to be away from the training camp facility at least until this coming Monday. So there you go. Fully vaccinated, but a breakthrough case of COVID. And so Frank Reich's not going to be around. Bubba Ventrone is going to take some of the responsibilities, but Frank Reich will be a part of meetings, and he'll monitor things via Zoom. And so this is not seen as anything but a minor inconvenience. He hadn't been around people, and so they don't think that it will have spread or he'll be a spread point about COVID. Chris Ballard spoke a lot about COVID earlier today. Here are some of his thoughts.
I don't want this to turn out to be a negative in terms of people running away from getting vaccinated, because it's still critical. And I think with Frank testing positive and getting COVID and having no symptoms, it shows it works. I mean, that's one of the positives. We don't know the variant yet. We're still waiting on the results of the variant. That will be interesting to see. But it shows it works. And, it's a shame in our country right now that we've politicized something that is good and that's going to help the entire country. But it's where we're at. And we've just got to continue to push forward, with this. I'm not going to give you a timeline on when he's going to be back. Our protocols are pretty similar. But we're going to be careful. We're going to be safe. And, when he's back, he's back. But the good news is he doesn't have any symptoms. He's feeling good. And, when you hear some of the stories about people who are not vaccinated and who are getting sick, the difference is dramatic, between the two. So we keep moving forward. It sucks. He's going to miss the first, I think the earliest he can be back is Monday, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe sooner, depending on tests that he takes. But you can still test positive for up to 90 days. I mean, that's something we've seen when you get COVID. And I think one of the biggest problems we have right now, and this is not just the NFL, but this as a country, like when you force somebody to do something, there's an automatic guard that comes up that they're going to look for the opposite side of it. So I think as people get more educated, they get more comfortable, they start seeing that, I don't know, what's the total now in our country vaccinated? Over 150 million. As they start to see the research and the data come back, they make an educated decision to decide which way they want to go. I've read a couple things here, and like we all are, but I thought Jerry Hughes in Buffalo made a good point. So, we've got the best of the best of the best, smartest of the smartest who have created this. We have all these people vaccinated. At some point we've got to have faith and trust.
Let's hear what Chris Ballard had to say about Carson Wentz and the quarterback position, the nervousness potentially about the quarterback position if a starting quarterback has not been vaccinated.
Would it be any different if he was vaccinated and got it? Would be my shot back.
It's shorter, right, if you're vaccinated?
Well, it might be a little shorter, but you don't know. We're still going to follow the protocols and do the right thing. So does that really make that much of a difference? I don't know. I know this, if, our guys that aren't vaccinated, they'll be careful. They'll be safe. They'll social distance, they'll wear masks. There's consequences if they don't, But I trust our guys are good. Of course there was normal last year as we were all getting used to it, but once we got into it now, people followed the protocols because they knew the consequences at stake.
Ballard also told us that Darius Leonard has had an ankle procedure. He's going to miss the first part of camp. Then he gave us this update on Eric Fisher, the starting left tackle, and how he's recovering from his Achilles surgery.
He's doing good. His rehab's on target. We'll see. Eric's very prideful. He's a really good vet. It's been a big change for him. I mean, when you're in one spot for so long, and now you're in this, you make first time he's really had to make a change. Change a city. He's a new dad. All those changes. But physically, he's doing well. So we'll see. I mean, Eric's prideful. Eric doesn't. He don't miss. He doesn't miss a lot. So he's prideful. We'll see. We're not gonna. I'm not gonna put a timeline on when he's gonna be back. But he'll be back.
No setbacks at all?
No, not at all.
And Chris Ballard was asked about position battles.
Well, look, defensive line, defensive end, backup defensive tackle. There's going to be some good battles there. Offensive line, the depth, the left tackle spot, especially when Fisher's not here, who's going to be the guy. I think there'll be some interesting battles at wideout, more than I think people realize. We got some good young players. It'd be good for everybody to be able to see some of this young talented group we have.
Go two more. The kicker was important to bring in competition for Rodrigo.
Yeah, Rod had a great year last year, but iron sharpens iron, and Eddie's talented. Eddie Pinero's very talented, so that'll be fun to watch. I think they'll make each other better.
Ballard was also asked about the positional hierarchy in terms of budgeting. Do the Colts plan to pay people at certain positions more than others? He dodged this question very, very artfully. He might be wasting his verbal abilities in this position. He might want to become a U.S. Senator.
You're never going to regret playing a great player. I don't give a crap what position it is.
All right, that's it from Chris Ballard. Couple of days, practice is going to start. Get your tickets. It's going to be awesome. They're going to be cracking pads out here, getting prepared for the 2021 season. Are there positional battles that we're looking forward to? The backup left tackle position, that's going to be interesting. Tight end, I think, is going to be a little bit interesting. Going to be interesting to see how Marlon Mack looks, whether he's as explosive as he was prior to his Achilles tear a year ago. The kicker position, that's going to be interesting. Wide receiver, I'm going to take Chris Ballard at his word. The wide receiver position, if you got positional battles for the roster, you know what? That's a good thing for the Colts because it shows that the bottom of the roster is looking to compete with the top of the roster, and the top of the roster isn't all that great at the wide receiver position. We'll see if Michael Pittman Jr. can take a leap from what he was as a rookie to what he needs to be in order to validate his draft position at 33 overall. Michael Pittman Jr. is kind of a linchpin to how this offense is going to operate. That's going to be interesting to watch. Michael Pittman Jr., if you haven't watched his Instagram feed, also on YouTube, really, really interesting, really kind of transparently looks at the life of an NFL receiver. I dig it. It's fun. I think the other linebacker, right? You've got Okereke in the middle. You've got Leonard at one of the outside spots. Who's going to play the other outside spot? Not that it matters necessarily. You know what? They've got depth at that position, and they play nickel more often than they do anything else. Go about 70% nickel. So it's going to be interesting, though, to see if it's Zaire Franklin or Matt Adams or E.J. Speed, who is going to be the other linebacker. We had Okereke out there while Anthony Walker was in the middle. Now Okereke's moving to the middle. We'll see what happens at that other outside spot. That's going to be interesting. Breakfast with Kent tomorrow. I cannot wait to talk to you about the Colts and all other things. This is going to be a fun camp. We got the NBA draft coming up Thursday. Can't wait for that. News finally starting to churn. The Major League trade deadline coming up on the 30th. That's going to be fascinating to see what the Chicago Cubs do. Are the White Sox going to be buyers? What are the Reds going to do? The Reds, not really that far separate from the Brewers. What are they, about 7 back? The Reds could become buyers. Once they get Castellanos back off the IL, they become a much more dynamic offense. We'll see what the Reds do. Anyway, we'll talk about it all tomorrow. Can't wait to talk to you then. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry.